Okay, in this coming week's Parshas Chukas, is a very, very interesting incident which I never understood until I prepared for this year. It says, "Vayisum ahar." Oh. Klal Yisrael. They're wandering around. This is now after 40 years in the desert, 38 years after Har Sinai. 38 years they've been in the desert. They're getting closer, and they passed Eretz Edom, and they're in the, all the way down by the south in Arad. So they're going around, and Edom wouldn't let them in, and Aaron passed away. Kids, Miriam passed away. So they're getting closer to Eretz Yisrael. It says, "Vayisu mihar hahar." They went from Har Hahor where Aaron passed away. Derech Yamsuf. They went all the way around Eretz Edom. But Tikser Nefesh Ha'am B'derech. They got fed up with all. Thank you. They got fed up with all the traveling. Well, let's go in already. What do we keep on? And they went around, and then they're going back, and they're going this way. It was a very circuitous route, roundabout route.
Was that word?
Yeah, that's comes from the word
circuitous route.
US. Not the US like in America, like the EOUS.
Why do you take it out of Mitzrayim? They're complaining again. All we've been talking about, all this year about complaining
It's in our genes.
They're complaining. By Bashalat they complained, and by Losra they complained. There was the end, and now here they are. They're complaining again.
Why not?
Why do you take us out of Mitzrayim to die in the Midbar?
What's complaining?
We don't have mayim. V'nafshenu kotza milechem hakloikol. We don't ein lechem v'ein mayim. V'nafshenu kotza milechem hakloikel. Now this is a very strange complaint. First of all, the fact that they're complaining was that we're going to die in the Midbar. Why are we going to die? Because we don't have any bread, we don't have any water. And we're fed up with this lechem haklokel. We have to understand what this lechem haklokel is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro. This has been 38 years now, right? 38 years they're in the desert. What do you mean we have no bread? What do you mean we have no water? They had the month for 38, since Parshas B'Shalach, they had man. From the beginning, 30 days after they left Mitzrayim, they had man in Parshas B'Shalach. So for 40 years they've had man. And they had the bear Miriam, even though it disappeared for a while, but Moshe brought it back.
Why do you think they jumped forward? Who told you
This is at the end. This is after Har Hahor. This is after when Aaron passed away.
Okay.
It says Aaron passed away. They're going past Eretz Edom by the south, by Arad over there.
Jordan.
Yeah, and they're going into Jordan, into Arvis Moav. There are 38 years came out missing over here. We had the Meraglim, we had Kairach. That's all at the beginning. The Meraglim was right at the beginning. 11 days after Har Sinai. It was 38. It was 2 years after Yetzias Mitzrayim. Then they started going. It was 11 days into Eretz Yisrael, and then they had the Meraglim. 40 days later, they came back and they got right. And then Kairach, he got upset with them. They built a Mishkan. But this all happened in there's a 38-year blank in the Chumash. And then, and now they're complaining again. But the complaint is very strange. What do you mean they have no bread? The man fell every day. They have plenty of bread. And the man was wonderful. The man tasted whatever you wanted it to taste like. If you wanted steak, the man tasted like steak. If you wanted lamb chops, the man tasted like lamb chops. You wanted lasagna, the man tasted like lasagna at the same time.
It had the
And-
crunch. It had like the crunch.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, I
something.
was going to say, can you change the texture? Or
That I don't know. Well, they baked it. It says it says in
Yeah.
Parshas Chukas.
That's why we have
Asher
colors.
tofu offal.
Yeah.
In the when it, we learn in the Parshas Aman, it tells you how to do hachonis for Shabbos. Whatever you want to cook. Whatever you're going to bake. What are you baking? You're baking the man. They made the man into challahs. They had challahs, whatever you want.
It's like potatoes in England.
Yeah.
You have baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, chipped potatoes, boiled potatoes, roast potatoes. Every day is another type of
4
potato.
hours later.
Every day
And when
is
they had
another
water,
type of
when they
potato.
wanted, what do you mean they had no water? They had the bear
you
and
could eat
the
the man by, like, without cooking?
Yeah.
You could eat it like it.
it tastes like honey. It says it tastes like the Bahama and
Abdullah.
yeah. We just had it. The man was like the badola, the eshed. It tasted like honey, little crackers with honey. That's what it tasted like. It was little tiny pellets.
Tapetitim dvash.
Yeah. It was little tiny pellets, and it tasted delicious. And they had mayim. What do you mean? They had plenty of water. They had this rock, and the water was gushing out of the rock, and there was enough water for 3 million people. And whoever needed water, he took a stick and he put it on the rock, and he made a little indent, a chritz in the ground, and the water followed him to his tent. Straight fresh water into his tent, running water every day, wherever he was. So what do you mean that? So there's the Rebbeinu Bechaya, Bachia, Rebbeinu Bachia says no. This was an excuse. A little psychology over here. This wasn't their taina. This wasn't their taina. Or before I get to that, they say that they were tired of lechem haklokel. I forgot that one. Lechem haklokel. That the mun was lechem haklokel. What's lechem haklokel? So klokel. Klokel. So this lechem haklokel it's got 2 meanings to the word klokel. First of all, it was light. What do you mean it was light? It was spiritual food. You ate the mun, and nothing came out. It's not like, our food, you eat it and it comes out. But they didn't have to go to the bathroom. They said, who eats food that it goes in and it doesn't go out? It's lechem haklokel. What's klokel? It's getting mukukal inside of us, which it's, the food, if, a person who never is constipated, the food sits there and it starts rotting. And then he's got stomach problems. He's got issues. So this food is just going in, it's not coming out. It's just klokel, it's just being mukukal, it's inside of us. This is terrible. It's not normal. That's the way the Meforshim explain their taina, which is totally absurd. It's totally absurd. It didn't get, not the fact that it was sitting there rotting away, putrefying like a person who's never is constipated. It was absorbed into the body, and it was the biggest bracha that they had. That they didn't have to go to the bathroom. Why? Because it says they didn't have any bathrooms there. You had to go in the field. But to go in the field, you had to get out of the machana. The machana was 12 miles, 12 mills. The 12 miles square. So and you couldn't go forward because they didn't want any excrement, in the place where they're about to walk, and they didn't know if they're going to walk this way or forward or left or right, but they know they weren't going back. So anybody who had to go to the bathroom had to go back. So if you were at the wrong end of the machana, you had to walk 12 miles to get out of the machana in order to go to the bathroom. So the biggest bracha was that you didn't have to go to the bathroom because the lechem haklokel is the light lechem. What a kafui toiv. The Gemara says they're kafui toiv. They're kafui toiv. They're ingrates. What are you doing? What do you mean that you're complaining about the money? It was the most wonderful thing. So Rabbeinu Bechaya says you have to look behind their taina. There's psychology over here. When a person complains, don't listen to his complaint. Why is he complaining? There's something deeper. There's something deeper. The Taluna, it was just an excuse. They said, this is not normal. We have the mun, but the mun is not normal. The mun drops every day. They had plenty of food every day, but you had to get out of the house by 10 o'clock. You had to gather it in by 10 o'clock in the morning. The Gemara Bracha says, by 10 o'clock the sun came up and it all melted. So if you wanted to get your morning groceries, you had to get out early in the morning and pick it up when it's still fresh, and then bring it into the house. And then, but if you left it over, what does it say in Parshas B'Shalach? People left it over, but don't leave it over. If you left it over, it got wormy, it got rotten. So they had to eat up whatever they wanted. Anything that was left over became rotten. They had to go again. This is not normal. This is not normal. We want to be like everybody else. Everybody else, what do? They have you have a bank account.
You have to get to the Macaulay before 10 o'clock. Otherwise there's no fresh bread and milk.
You gotta wait. Don't tell, they close the breakfast 10:30.
Yeah, but in a normal house, you have a refrigerator and you have a freezer, so you have plenty, right? You go into the refrigerator. You don't have to go to the grocery every day in order to get your food. You buy for a week, and you store it in the refrigerator. That's normal. We want to have a normal life, and water. We want to own the water. In those days, they had water rights, like we have, the fight between Israel and Jordan over who's got the water rights with Lebanon, the water rights over the Jordan. We want the water rights, and they didn't have any water rights because the water was hefker. And they had to live with scharva onish, and they saw if they didn't act properly, they got an onish. All of a sudden, they had magefas right and left. Anytime they complained, they had a magefa. Anytime they were bad, then they lost the bear mayim of Miriam. Miriam passed away, and they weren't on the proper level, the proper spiritual level, the ruchnius level. So the water disappeared. So you had to be. You know what it is to live with scharva onish? If you're a good boy, then you'll be able to go into the closet and take your jacket off the hanger, or you take your shirt off the hanger. And if you're not a good boy, the hanger's going to get stuck to the pole, and the shirt's going to get stuck to the hanger, and you won't be able to get the shirt off. You better be a good boy, otherwise you're not going to be able to get the shirt off. Okay, that's not a life. That's not a life. Everything's dependent upon scharva onish. People don't like to be subjected. They don't like the scharva onish. They don't.
You're saying that's the reason why they kept on
Complaining. This complaining was, we want to be normal. We want to be normal. We want to have normal food. We want to have normal water. We want to act normal. You eat something, and it's a normal food. I mean, this food that, and you don't feel safe. They didn't feel satiated. It said it was light. It was light. And if you don't feel anything in your stomach, you feel hungry. It's mashma. They felt hungry. They didn't need to eat because they had just eaten the mun, but they felt hungry because it got absorbed. There's nothing. If you have a full stomach, oh, now I feel good. You eat, and if you have a full stomach, and they ate nothing. It just got absorbed right away. They didn't feel, this is not normal.
Having said all that, then there was a justification for the complaints, if that's the reason.
They didn't understand what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted for them. Yes, there was a justification for their complaint on the way we understand things. But the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands things, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from us? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be different. You're right, we're not like everybody else. We are different. Yiddishkeit is different. Yiddishkeit is royalty. Yiddishkeit is royalty. We are at the HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to have a why did he, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent the snakes. He sent the snakes. This is mind-boggling. Vayishalach Hashem ba'am nechoshim asrofim. Venomous, fiery snakes. I assume, I don't know if it means fiery dragons, I don't think so, but a snake bite can be like fire, it burns up the body. It's fire, it creates a tremendous, it just burns up the body. A person gets a snake bite and it just goes through the body and you feel like you're burning up. That's the Nechoshim and Nisrofim. And people got burnt, and Amrav passed away. A lot of people were killed by the snakes. Then they went over to Moshe, Chotonu, because we spoke against you and against Hashem, and please daven for us and take away these snakes. So Moshe Rabbeinu davened, and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, what? What was the antidote? Make a copper snake and put it on a pole, a tall, very high pole, and lift it up, and everybody should look. Anybody who's bitten by a snake should look at the copper snake, and it'll be cured. It's very, very interesting. This is a very famous picture. It's a very famous picture. This is the medical symbol universally, right? Here they got two snakes on the pole.
It's not a Medusa thing?
Yeah. That's what they got a thing. Yes.
It's not a Medusa.
This is better because this has got one snake on the pole, and everybody took the pole with the snake, and even Hatzolah took it.
Where did it come from, the snake? Where is that written, the cure?
So it says over here that Kosh Baruch Hu made a copper snake, told Moshe to make a copper snake. I'm sure he had very good artisans, and they made a very, very realistic copper snake with fangs, and fire coming out of its nose, and a copper snake like this, and put it on a pole, and everybody lift up, and they lifted up the snake on a high pole, and anybody who was bitten looked at the snake and was cured. How does looking at a snake cure you? How does looking at a snake cure you? So I saw two pshatim in the Meforshim. Two pshatim in the Meforshim.
That's a Medrash, no? That's
The Medrash says. The Medrash says.
Yadav Shemoshe says in the Chamba, right?
That's the Gemara. The Gemara.
Gemara's a Medrash.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
וכי ידע שבו שעושה סמכמו, וכי נחש הנפש, וכי נחש הנפש, נמי סמכיה, Arabic.
1 second.
Beginning of inoculation.
Can you get healed if you were not vaxxed for COVID though?
What?
Can you get healed if you weren't vaxxed for COVID?
No, if anybody who wasn't vaccinated is essentially finished.
Doesn't have to actually make it work.
This is a form of
This was
vaccination.
it's in Rosh Hashanah. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah.
Vaccination.
The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah.
Pfizer.
It says, Kiyetz b'davar. It says Aseh lecha sorof, and put it on a nace, and anybody should look at the snake, at the copper snake, and he'll be cured. What? And the snake cures? The snake cures? More than that. Does the snake kill? Kadosh Baruch Hu kills. Does the snake cure? Kadosh Baruch Hu cures. There was a mice with Chizkiyahu Melech. He had to destroy the snake because people started thinking it was some sort of superstitious hoochie boogie. You know, they still had it, and they said there's some sort of avodah zorah there. You know, we don't believe in these avodah zorahs or hoochie boogies. You know, a voodoo thing. You know.
So why does the Torah put so much emphasis on the fact that there's a copper snake? That's not
There's a lot of things here we don't understand. Why nechoshes is the same words as nachash. So it's a material which has some sort of the midos or the attributes of a nachash, nechoshes, nachash, and somehow or other. And by looking at it, but the Pashup shot is look at the snake. Does the snake kill? No. Why is this dangerous? Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is killing. And that's what it says. Lift your eyes up to heaven. Bisman, that you Klal Yisrael, they lift their eyes up to heaven. And you had to concentrate. And that's what the Torah Tamima explains. This wasn't just you look at the snake and automatically zap, you got cured. You had to look at it with the right kavanah. It's like Krishma. You have to have the right kavanah. You can't say Krishma, Shema Yisrael without the right kavanah. If you don't have any kavanah when you say Krishma, you're not Yoitzi. You know that. You have to have kavanah when you say Krishma. So here also, you had to look at the snake with the right kavanah. If you have the right kavanah, no, no, not by the first pasuk, no, and not by Birchas Avos in Shmon Esrei, the first. Bracha Shmon Esrei, you have to have the right kavanas there also, otherwise you're not yotzi. We know you're not going to have it. If you didn't have the first time, you're not going to have the second time, so don't waste your time.
I hereby have all the kavanas for the rest of my life. Okay, good.
Anyway.
Future for
But this that works other places, not here. Anyway, but it says you have to have the right kavanas. When they mistakel klapi milo, and the mishabed their lave to Avinu Shebashamayim, then they were misrapeh. The imlav, if they weren't mishabed their lave, you had to say, I'm looking up to heaven. This is what the Meforshim bring down. This is what the Meforshim bring down. They bring the Maisa with Chanina ben Doisa. The famous Maisa of Chanina ben Doisa. We had Chanina ben Doisa several times already. We had Chanina ben Doisa with the lighting the Shabbos lit with the vinegar. His daughter lit the Shabbos lit with vinegar. He lived on a different madrega. He lived above Teva. You have to realize that there is no Teva. Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing everything. And that was the way Chanina ben Doisa lived. There was a Maisa that they bring down in the Gemara that there was a certain city where Chanina ben Doisa was, and there was a snake, a venomous giant snake that was a danger for the whole community. It was a danger for the whole community. They had to get rid of the snake. So what do? You go to the rabbi, Rabbi, do something with us, do some, magical things, and everybody thinks the rabbi is like, So he's going to do some magical thing. Well, Chanina ben Doisa, he says, okay, Chanina ben Doisa says, where is he? Show me the hole. So they brought him to the hole where the snake was hiding. He put his heel on the hole of the snake, where the snake was. Snake came out and he bit him, and the snake died. Snake died.
Can I ask a question, brother?
Right? Huh? Yeah.
Ask a question. The same generation that left Egypt, were they the same people who arrived in Eretz Israel?
No, the children.
So if there was a new generation that was born in the Midbar over 40 years.
Yeah, so the Or Chaim asked the question. The Or Chaim asked the question. The Or Chaim asked the question. Says there was a group of people, 15,000 people, that the gezerah of the Meraglim was nullified at the end, and 15,000 people were still allowed to continue living. So the Am that complained, let's go back to Mitzrayim, were these 15,000. It's an Orach Chaim on this week's on the parsha.
Tubav.
Yeah,
Tubav.
yeah,
Well, they used to dig a grave every
yeah,
year.
yeah. There were 15,000 people.
The last
Yeah, yeah,
Tubav,
yeah.
they didn't nobody. They all got in and they all came out.
Okay, now.
That's the Tubav we saying.
Yeah, but so there were a few leftovers.
Mm.
So there was the Maisa with Chanina ben Doisa. It was Mazik the Brios, and so imagine he right. So he went. He pulled the dead snake, out of the hole. He wrapped it around his shoulders, and he walked into the base medrash. Imagine, Chaim Kanievsky, Reb Chaim, right, walking around. He's got a big python or a cobra wrapped around his neck, and he walks into the base medrash. Kindalach, kindalach. Does the snake kill? Snake doesn't kill. Chet kills. Chet kills. So they started a new pismon. They had a little jingle, They had a new little jingle. Oi to the person who meets the snake, and and oi to the snake that meets Chanina ben Doisa. So, what was the message of the snake? The message of the snake is that kindalach, you don't want to be normal. I want you to understand that Klal Yisrael lives above nature. You're right, it's not normal. That's exactly right, and that's the level that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants of us, because we are royalty, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be connected to Him. And they bring down a second mashal of the snake. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu pick the snake? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu pick the snake?
Chet Rishon.
Because of the Chet Rishon. Yes. So it says in the Chet Rishon that the snake enticed Chava, and he got a curse. He was cursed. What was his curse? That he used to stand up straight. He lost his arms and his legs, and now he's got his crawl on the ground, and he's offer toichel. He's going to eat offer. Dirt. That's what it says. The offer toichel. But the snake now is eating offer.
Where everything he eats
Oh,
tastes like dirt.
So his one shot is that whatever he eats tastes like dirt,
No taste buds.
Cool.
right? Yeah. Whatever he eats tastes like dirt. There's another pshat is that his mezainos are muchen for him wherever he goes. Just like the dirt is wherever you go, there's dirt, there's dust. You go on the roof, there's dust. You go in the basement, there's dust. You go outside, there's dust. You go inside, there's dust. So the serpent, the snake, wherever he goes, he's got food. Because Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying, a normal person, it says by all the animals, it says they roar, the lion roars and the birds chirp. They're davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you look in Pirkei, the Shira, Perek Shira, each one is davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give them their parnasa, give them their sustenance, give them their food. Everybody has to go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and turn their eyes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give them food. Even animals understand it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't understand on what level, but there's a certain level that the animals understand that it's coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore they have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not a snake. Snake is as if the HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the snake, here, you can have your parnasa for the rest of your life. For the rest of eternity, a snake has his parnasa. Leave me alone. Stay away from me. I want nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with you. With Shimon Bar Yochai, the Talmidim of Shimon Bar Yochai, they asked him, why did the man fall every day? Why couldn't he give them an allowance once a week, once a month, once a year? Give him an allowance once in a year. Right? So he made a mashal. There was a king. He had a son Imagine you have a son. You send him off to yeshiva or to college, right? And you give him a credit card. You give him a credit card with whatever the balance is in the credit card, right? And he doesn't call you. Whenever he wants to get lunch, he wants to shawarma, swipes the credit card. He wants a pizza, he swipes the credit card. He needs some toothpaste and laundry detergent, he swipes the credit card. He's always right. So the father never hears from the son, but when the kid overdrafts the credit card, then the kid hears from the father, right? But so the king had a son, and he gave him an allowance for a year, and he never heard from the son. He said, "This is not. I want to hear from you, my dear Kinderlach. I want to hear from you." So then he decided he's going to give him an allowance every day. Okay, I'm going to send you a check every day for $5. That's all. That's all you can have. $5 a day, just right. All right, and when the check it gets lost in the mail, hey Ta, oh, I wanted to hear your voice. I wanted to hear your voice. Where's the check? Oh, okay. So every day he had to come. Every day he had to come. So Kadosh Baruch Hu takes things away from us and forces us to be lacking, that we should daven to him. Imagine in the Midbar, a family, they had I don't know, 10 kids, they had 12 kids, 15 kids, they had a lot of kids, right? In the Midbar, they had big families, and he's got a big family, and all the money from yesterday is gone. There's nothing, the cupboards are bare, right? So he's got to daven. You can't have a cup of coffee before Shabbos because there's no coffee, right? Everything's, the cupboards are bare. All you have is the water from the bear, and you daven that you're going to get the mun today, and then you go out and you get the mun delivered to the doorstep if you're a good boy. If you're not a good boy, you got to go out to the field to go get the mun. So you have to constantly thinking about a Kodesh Baruch Hu. I want to have a relationship with a Kodesh Baruch Hu because I want to get the mun on my doorstep.
And it's better to live that way? Meaning what they wanted was normal.
So the normal person, he lives without the Ribono Shel Olam. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to live with the Ribono Shel Olam. Everything you do, you have to think about what you're doing. More than that, everything we do is a protocol. This is what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do. When you eat bread, there's a protocol. You have to wash, right? You go on a trip to the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. You go on a trip. You want to eat bread. You want to eat a sandwich. You have
Put
to
gloves on, and then you say, "No, what? You sprinkle some apple juice on it." You say, "No, it's Mazonos now."
So if you
why take the man away in the end?
huh?
So then why take it away?
This was a training ground. They were in a bubble. They were in a bubble in a spaceship. They were in a bubble. This was the training ground, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu made a cheshbon. It would take 40 years to get it ingrained in them. Now we have to come down into the real world, so to speak. He didn't want us to live in this bubble. They were in a bubble. They were in an ICU ward, like an incubator. This is the incubation of Klal Yisrael. So just like a baby, when it's born, you got to give it an artificial environment to keep it protected. So too with Klal Yisrael, he gave us an artificial environment to keep us protected and ingrain in us. And they did very good for 400 years until they complained about, like we saw last week, in the Haftarah last week in Kairach. So by Shmuel, they wanted a melech. They wanted to come down, be like everybody else. Oh, you want to be like everybody else? Well, he didn't. Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't want us to have a melech. Last week's Parshas Chukas in the Haftarah of Shmuel, he didn't want us to have a melech. He wanted us to live with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Go to the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin will decide what the halach is. It was different, and we see that slowly we've deteriorated until where we are today, where we're holding by the 49th level of Tumah, and we're waiting for the Mashiach to bring us back up again.
Yeah, got Prime Minister instead of a king. gone down to the level where we've got prime minister.
Yeah,
the king.
yeah. So, I want you to understand that everything that we do is royalty. Imagine you have somebody from, there used to be Mayor Schuster used to go to the wall and pick people up off the wall. He didn't have a watch. So he said, "You have the time?" That's how he started a conversation. So and then So he started a conversation with them, and the guy, maybe you want to come for a Shabbos meal by somebody. And I had a friend who he had delivery every Shabbos of a fresh guy. People came into it, and so you have they come in, they see the table set, and they see the challahs there, right? Yeah, they see the challah set, and they see there's little lachmaniot on the table, and everything's wonderful. And his mouth is he hasn't eaten the whole day. Yeah, he hasn't eaten the whole day, right? He says, "Ooh, let me take a bite. This looks good." No! You have to wash. You have to wash. What do you mean wash? My hands are clean. No. You have to wash for bread. Well, huh? Oh, we're starting with that again. All right, now here. So he goes, wash, and you have to teach him how to wash, right? You got to wash with a kli, and you can't wash mayim achronim. Some people wash, no, you got to wash properly with a revius, this hand and then that hand, and then you have to dry it, and then you have to say a bracha, and then right, and so you say dry your hands. And said, right, you said the bracha? Okay, now dry your hands. Okay, can I eat now? No, shh! Don't talk, shh. Right? So he sits down, and he sees everybody's waiting, and everybody's sitting there and just waiting for Baal Bus to finish washing and come over. He says, what's everybody waiting for? Shh. So the Baal Bus comes, we have to make right? And finally he makes a bracha of the motzi. Can I eat now? Shh. Right? And so he said, okay. So he puts it in his mouth. Oh, this sounds good. Swallow first. He doesn't get a very good taste about Yiddishkeit that way, because he doesn't understand. He thinks this is a big drag. That's what it is. And he doesn't understand, this is royalty. Do you understand that every time we sit down in the Shabbos meal, this is royalty? It's a royal dinner. You're English.
Yeah.
You know what a royal dinner is. I don't know what a royal dinner is, so I Googled a royal dinner. Okay. I Googled the royal...
shawarmas, leaky falafel
Okay,
shawarma.
I Googled a royal dinner. I want you to understand what a royal dinner is.
It's in a pub on a Sunday.
The fork goes on this side, and the knife goes on this side, with the plate in the middle. Right? And you have to adhere to the dining rules, right? You have to hold, right? You have to knife, yeah, You have the knife in this hand, and the fork in this hand, okay? Now, but you have to know how to hold the fork. You don't hold the fork like this.
No.
You've got to hold the fork like this.
No? Hold the fork like this.
Oh, like this.
Put it down, and you cut with the knife. You don't pull away with the fork. You have to cut with the knife. Once you cut it off,
Then you have to let it, put it down, and then use.
No, that's American.
There's a ruler to beat him. She doesn't get that.
I like that. Right now,
When you finish,
make sure you don't squeak the plate. Right? The plate's not allowed to squeak. You have to do it very delicately.
Right, because the plate's made from bone china.
Right. So it's going to squeak.
And the knife is silver.
Right.
So then that makes it.
Now, and when you finish, what do you do?
If you want more,
Okay,
you
have to
do
do
it like
that.
that. If you finished and you want them to take your plate away, you do it like that.
That's right.
There you go.
So there's a whole protocol. Now,
That's just the beginning.
that's just
What's it gonna
You can end up. You can have 5 knives and 5 forks
yes.
because it depends. And you have to
Now-
know which knife and which fork to take.
And when you drink,
what's
you
the
always-
napkin
you have to
on
make
the
sure
right
you
side?
always drink from the same place.
Yeah.
you cannot turn the cup around. It has to be from exactly the same place, right?
Right.
That's what he says here. Huh?
For someone else wants to drink.
Now, when Her Majesty was now it's His Majesty, right? When Her Majesty is, nobody's allowed to start until the Queen starts. So you're sitting there,
What's with the napkin?
right, until the Queen
Yeah.
starts.
The Shabbos table also.
Right, you
Supposed to
sit there
start
until the
till
Balabas
the
starts. Now, when the Queen finishes and she goes like this, everybody else, it doesn't matter where you're holding. You're in the middle of your steak.
Yeah.
You stop and you are now officially finished. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So I saw over there that the Queen was very gracious and she
took a
nibbled.
long time,
She
yeah.
nibbled and to make sure, just watching around to make sure everybody was finished. She was a very gracious person, right? But if this guy Charlie,
Yeah,
so,
he wants to get it finished quickly so they won't finish all the food and he use it for the next time.
yeah. Now, if I want to talk, huh? If I want to talk,
Yeah,
I can't talk. Hi.
No,
I can't talk to my son across the table.
No, you
I can
can
only
only
talk to
talk
the
on the
person
left.
on the right,
On the right
or the
or the
left.
left.
Immediately
The
next
first
to me.
course with the fish, you talk on the right,
Ah.
and then the next course you talk to the person on the left.
Is that real?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a protocol. So we are royalty,
So English.
right? Royalty lives differently. Do you hear that? Royalty lives differently.
Do they complain?
Complain?
Do they complain?
No.
No.
If you get an invitation to Buckingham Palace for me, you're not going to complain.
Yeah.
So Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to be royalty.
The only ones that
Why does Kodesh
complain is my son-in-laws. Because they say, what is this? You know, we grew up on this.
So Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to be royalty. Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't want us to be normal. Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to have a relationship with Him. Whatever we do, a person wants to live independently of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu said, no, you're my children. You're at my table all the time. You're always in an interrelationship with me. I want you to have a relationship with me. Chaim Kanievsky said, we're going to talk about this more in Matis. I don't want to discuss it here. But Chaim Kanievsky has this, whatever you do, there's a medrash. Chaim Kanievsky says, you have to realize that you have to daven for everything. Just like they had a daven to be healed, lift your eyes up on high and have kavanah. Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing everything. Whatever you do, say Im Yirtzeh Hashem. Whatever you do, say Be'ezras Hashem. There was a mice with the Stipler's daughter. Reb Chaim Kanievsky's father. Father was the Stipler. So the Chaim Kanievsky's sister, the daughter of the Stipler. So the Stipler was passing by and he saw his daughter coming out of the house and he said, "Where are you going?" So, "I'm going to Tel Aviv." She had a washing machine, it broke, and she had a service contract, and she'd been calling and calling and calling. And I don't know, in those days, I don't know what, if they had a phone, she had to go find a phone. I don't know what the situation was in those days. You know, I remember when a lot of people didn't have even phones.
They had cell phones.
No phones. No phones.
I remember my first.
Yeah, there was
my
one
father's
guy.
first cell phone. Yeshiva got with the long.
With a big antenna, first cell phone was giant. It was a monster. It was like a tank, you know, with an antenna.
When I was a kid.
How many apps were there?
So,
Only on Facebook.
so she came out, and the Stipler saw her. The Stipler saw her, says, "Where are you going?" She says, "I have service contract. These guys are from Tel Aviv. They're not coming down. I'm going to the office. I'm going to bring them down. Say Im Yirtzeh Hashem." Okay. I'm just going to Tel Aviv. I mean, what's the big deal? I'm just going to Tel Aviv to get the office. Okay. So she went to Tel Aviv, and she got involved. She did another errand. She had to buy things. Once you're in Tel Aviv, so she bought a whole bunch of things. She got sidetracked with an errand, and she lost track of time, lost track of her what her errand. She came back to Bnei Brak. Oi, I forgot to go to the office. You see, you didn't say it in Yirtzeh Hashem. The Shloah says, whatever you say, whatever you do, say in Yirtzeh Hashem. In Yirtzeh Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to have a different relationship with Him than the Goyim. And that's the greatness of Klal Yisrael. And it's in our bones. I think Klal Yisrael are amazing people. Even the Chilonim. I mean, not the Erev Rav. You have the Erev Rav, you know, these guys that they're really totally off and totally want nothing to do, you know, with Yiddishkeit at all. But the general population, I think 90% of the population are not like that, and they're really, really nice people. So there was a Maisa that I heard after one of the wars on this, maybe it was the Yom Kippur War, so this goes back a little bit. So it was a Maisa is after the war, and there was one of the people in the platoon, one of the guys in the platoon, soldiers in the platoon, he became more religious, and he started going to yeshiva, and he wanted to influence his chevra. So he decided to invite the chevra over and have a little talk with them, maybe influence them, and then give them a little bit of a chizuk in Yiddishkeit. So he invited the chevra there, and they're all secular, they didn't know anything, and they're sitting there, and he says, "Okay, chevra, I'm bringing out the watermelon. I'm bringing out the watermelon." So they're all sitting there. He's probably going to ask us to make a bracha. What bracha do you make on watermelon? So one guy said, I don't know, maybe it's Bar Pri Adama. No, maybe it's Bar Pri Eitz. No, it's not an Eitz. It can't be Bar Pri Eitz. It goes in the it's Bar Pri Adama. So one guy says, no. You're all wrong. I'm telling you. It's shackle. What do you mean shackle? It's Adama. I'm telling you it's shackle. I'll bet on it. I'm willing to put money down. It's a shackle. Okay. So he brings out the watermelon. It's okay. Okay, rabbi, all of a sudden become the rabbi. Okay, what bracha do you make? Everybody should make a Bari Pri Adama. No, it's a shackle. So everybody turns to him and says, why are you so sure it's a shackle? I was positive it's a shackle. Shackle is the best bracha. Why is shackle the best bracha? He says he was in the war. And he was in the tank corps. And they had the chevra, I don't know how many guys they have, how many in the crew of the tank corps, in the tank. And they got a message from the Central Command that there's on top of the ridge over there's a tank, an enemy tank, and it should be very easy they didn't have drones in those days and the aerial reconnaissance to see what's going on. They just saw a tank with the binoculars. Go over the ridge over there, there's a tank, take it out. So they went out and they started going up towards in the direction of the ridge, and they saw the tank and they went closer, just trying to get good aim. And all of a sudden, around the sides, from behind the ridge, a whole bunch of other tanks came. They had walked right into an ambush. They were finished. They had tanks. They were surrounded by tanks. They said, "Chevra, it's over. Get ready." Right? So they started screaming. Does anybody know a prayer? Does anybody know a tefillah? They didn't know anything. So one guy says, wait, I remember when I went to my Saba, when I was a little boy, I used to go to my Saba, and he gave me a sukariyah, he gave me a little candy, and he always told me how to make the bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyed b'voro. That's the prayer. That is the prayer. Okay, Chevra, everybody together. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyed b'voro. Boom! Straight on, they took out the tank, right? And then they turned it to the other tank. Again, Odapam, Chevra, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyed b'voro. Boom! They took out the second tank. There was three, it was three tanks, one after the other. Then the enemy, I don't know, with the Syrians or the Egyptians. So they said, "Oh, we walked into the ambush." They started, retreating, and they disappeared behind the ridge. And they said, "I told you, shakol is the most powerful bracha. That's why I was sure that you're going to make a shakol on the watermelon." Anyway, The lesson from this is we shouldn't be, we learn from the snake. Whatever happens, you think the snake kills, snake doesn't kill. You think illness kills, whatever happens is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And whatever you do, say, Im Yirtzeh Hashem.
Yirtzeh
Are
Hashem.
you making a difference between Bezrat Hashem and Mir Hashem, or you're not making a
No,
difference? No difference.
No, here, I have this over
So
here. It says,
stylistically-
he brings from a certain sefer, or Yechezkel, either way. Be'ez Hashem or, the stipler. The shloah says either Be'ez Hashem or Yirtzeh Hashem.
You
It's
can
a
say God
shloah.
willing to.
It's a shloah.
Doesn't matter.